I was on the phone and I started screaming and I jumped and I hit the table and then the whole cafe just turned around. And I just had to keep quiet, sit on my hands and just rock back and forth and then reply Jin.
I don't really want to, kind of feel the pressure exposing me. Tell me how I'm gonna do this thing with you.
Lunadira, take 100. My dad was working in Hamburg for like 3 years, so when I was very little, I went to school there and I had to pick up the language.
Can you say something in German?
Du bist ein So I don't know if you're gonna bleep that out. If anyone were to deliberately make fun of their friend for the sake of making themselves look better, especially in public spaces, that's an instant, yeah, I can't. I've always written in my journal ever since I could remember. I've always loved rewriting lyrics because, you know, there was no Spotify back in the day, there was no streaming websites. So I would listen to the radio and just basically write down all the lyrics that I could hear and try to make my own songs. But I never really wrote any songs up until 2017 when I actually wrote my first song with a ukulele accompaniment.
So I'll just say
So that was in 2017. That means I was young-ish. Yeah. I mean, it's the first song I ever wrote under This Way Up Records, which is Forever's Not Our Thing. It created a lot of different opportunities for me. And it was the first time I ever thought that maybe songwriting was something that I could pursue. My dream collaborations. But if I were to say it out loud, I feel like I'm gonna jinx it. So not Muramasa, not Senja, not Time Machine, yeah.
you're cute but you're boring, so I gotta leave your house.
That's the $1 million question, nah. They are about people, but they're about a combination of people. It is a collection of emotions and situations all kind of wrapped up into 3-minute songs. There are certain people that have come up to me and asked me if certain songs are about them. And it's always an awkward conversation because it's not. Every single time I perform them, it always carries a new meaning. But it's beautiful to have inspirations from real life to cultivate that space for you to express a certain emotion sonically. But it's not that personal, I feel, yeah, once it's out. I always talk about this with anyone that I try to recommend songs to, and I always tell them that I wish I could tattoo this emotion on my skin. And it's this song called When You Saw Love by Elio, but it's a remix of that song, which is Elio and Baby Girl, and it really restructured how I saw remixes. They reimagined the song into a totally different song. And lyrically, it's just heartbreakingly beautiful against a very dreamy, hopeful track. I'll give you one line. I only lie when I'm speaking. In my defense, I find the truth is less appealing. Yeah. The most favorite outfit that I've worn is probably the one that I wore for Colors. That is a custom look by Diani. She instantly knew what I wanted, which was to basically highlight aspects of myself, something that both me and her share in common, which is our Javanese roots. We kind of played off on that silhouette and tried to emulate this sense of elegance and this moody, this richness to something that could be contrasted with the song that I was performing. Someone said that I looked like a fabulous jellyfish. And I do, and thank you for seeing that.
The next 2 questions is a little bit different, and they're extra special because they're actually sent in from your friends.
What? Okay, I'm scared now. From Ayman. Ayman's my best friend. What have you witnessed recently that created a ripple in your inner waters? It's typical Ayman. I swear to God. This is, I feel like I have not witnessed or experienced a good breakup. And it could be the breakup of any kind of relationship. And I am at a point in my life where I have subconsciously cultivated the people around me where the conversation of a breakup does not equate to a loss. And I feel like that's something that I didn't think could exist. So it changed my life, it changed my world, it changed the way that I perceive love for other people. Yeah. Okay. From Mijo, which is my nickname for Mr. Ready Rocket, what is your pre-show ritual? I like the fact that he asked this question because my pre-show ritual involves him. We do this thing where we basically just don't talk to each other up until 5 minutes before the show, and then we put our hands out to each other like this. I need a pair of hands. Okay, so basically we do this, and then we would just slap really hard. So, and then pull that out. Yeah, so we're taking out all the anxious energy out. Yeah, I tend to do that with Mr. Mijo. I have had my fair share of companies basically trying to dictate what I wear and how I present myself to kind of fit their mold. They basically just said, can she cover up? And I looked good. I don't think I was being vulgar. It was a very well thought out baju. I feel like the way that I try to rechannel that energy and that frustration is towards my shows and trying to create like a safe space for people to be able to express themselves freely. But it sucks. There's a lot of talent that kind of gets discredited just because a woman is wearing a certain thing that people are not happy about. And I feel like a lot of women's success are kind of dictated by how they dress, especially in Malaysia. That's a hard question. The music industry in Malaysia is very diverse, but at the same time, we still get into the same roadblocks. I feel like there could be way less moral policing. I feel like there could be way less censorships. Stop banning films. Stop trying to dictate what people are saying about the country or at least how they feel living in this country. Because how can you connect with people if you don't talk about it? There was a time towards the end of the pandemic. So during the endemic, I found myself in a position where I felt like I knew nothing about the new world. I just ended up not writing anything. I kind of had to rewire my brain into thinking that this fear that I have of making music should just be seen as more of like, look, you're making music for the of it, for the fun of it. So I titled the recent project as Shitty Singles. And that kind of took some of the pressure off to really make something serious. Because at the end of the day, what's the point of you making music if you're not having fun? I was about to have a meeting with my manager, Jin. I think at that time, it's been like 1.5 years since I've actually put out any kind of music. And then right before I showed that project to him, I was like, Jin, what if I just retire? What if I just stop? He just told me to shut up. And he was just like, no, I think that's ridiculous. And then he listened to the project and he was just like, where the f has this been? So, divine timing, I guess. I got a text that was just like, he said, I'm screaming, what the f is happening? And then he sent the screenshot and then he called me. And I was so excited that I basically hit the table. I was at a cafe and then the whole cafe just turned around. And I just had to keep quiet and I just had to internally just sit on my hands and just rock back and forth and then reply Jin. So I have huge imposter syndrome. I feel like a lot of Malaysians have performed at Good Vibes and have performed at South by Southwest, and I feel lucky to just be in that roster. But also, it's nerve-wracking at the same time because then I ask myself, what's next? I can't sit on for too long or else I will explode. So I'll take a step back and just, okay, cool. In 20 years, I hope to be in a position where I'm starting to build a farm. I have at least one cow, one chicken coop, a bunch of vegetables. Hopefully that happens if the climate allows it. When I buy a house, if I can say that I bought a house, I have a car, and maybe one framed platinum or gold, I don't know, like what's the higher one, platinum or gold? Platinum, right? Don't think that's gonna happen, but the house is pretty important. I feel like that's my I've made it moment if I were to have one. One Malaysian artist that I think you guys should interview next is Viona. aka Taka from Venupian Solitude, because I want to hear her talk. I think I would love that episode.